X-Men Volume 3 featuring Dark Phoenix. I have to say I can show this under free rights usage for reviews, but this is definitely a good volume. It's been like a year since I reviewed Volume 2. It took me forever to actually finally get through this, but within the past couple of weeks I've been watching it, I was like, like want to catch up with the show and actually go all the way through and rewatch all of the original X-Men cartoon and actually remember everything that happened. And this is probably my favorite volume so far. It's had like I said, featuring the Dark Phoenix. It always says like featuring this story or that story. It's always the biggest one within the two discs. And this one was definitely really fun to watch. Watching the Dark Phoenix come back after the initial Phoenix saga was actually pretty cool. And then the second disc was the more single based episodes. Like the Dark Phoenix had four separate parts, and before that, like the first two episodes on this disc took place in the Savage Land. So it was Savage Land, Strange Heart Part 1 and Part 2. Then there was only one like single episode called Obsession, and then after that it was just four parts of the Dark Phoenix. And then the second disc was kind of the single based episodes, and two of which were actually really really cool, and they had to do with uh, time travel. And this one was definitely really fun. I enjoyed the time travel in this. One of the episodes, the first episode of Disc 2 is called Cold Comfort, and it was really cool. You get to see Bobby in this one, and he's not a part of the actual team in this series, so it was cool to see Bobby come in. He was sort of a villain. He kind of had these real big issues with Xavier, kind of trying to be a father figure and stuff, so it was really cool to have that. They had Lorna in that episode where I don't know her actual story. The only information I really know about Lorna is from Wolverine and the X-Men. And in that series, she's Magneto's youngest daughter, and she's the younger sister to the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. But in this, she doesn't seem to be related to them. They don't really explain it, of course. It's just like Bobby and Lorna were at the school. Bobby wanted to leave and live a normal life, and so did Lorna. Like, she loved him a lot, so she went with him. And after a while, once the wars really started to pick up, a lot of the um, discrimination against mutants and things like that, Bobby wanted to stay away from that, and Lorna wanted to get back into that life and help their kind. So she actually faked her own death. Sorry to give a huge spoiler there if you're even gonna go and check it out, but she faked her own death, and it was just a crazy ending. Like, he had a crappy ending in this episode. It's like his girlfriend faked her own death. He'd been searching for her for I think like 2 or 3 years or something crazy like that, and that's how the X-Men ended up finding him. He broke into a certain camp that he thought would lead him to Lorna, and that's how they found him. And in that episode, we actually get introduced to a group of mutants that are working with the government, and one of those people is actually Alex Summers, who is Scott's brother. So that was pretty cool, him being Havoc in the episode. And you don't really know that until they say his name at the end of the episode. If you actually know the character, and you're like, oh, that's Scott's brother. But like, they were fighting each other, and Scott was hitting them with the lasers, and Havoc was using his powers on Cyclops. And they're like, nothing was happening. Like, their powers would cancel each other out. Like, they wouldn't take any damage. And they were just like, what's happening right now? So it was kind of funny to see that. I definitely enjoyed it. Like I said, the Dark Phoenix stuff was really cool. The time travel stuff in this one was definitely interesting. It was the one where it's like a alternate timeline where the story of this is that a mutant goes back to take out Xavier instead of just going back to stop the Sentinel. So it was really cool. And there's actually another one that I just recently watched in Volume 4, and that one's really cool. That I think is 4 or 5 parts, and it has to do with actually do with Apocalypse and stuff. And it made me think, like, it would be cool if they just took all of the time travel stories and they made a collection out of those. That would be an amazing set of episodes. Like, they have the stuff with Cable, the stuff with Bishop, of course, because he's like the main time travel X-Man. But it was definitely cool, the 2 parts that they had in this, and all the episodes were good because it's X-Men. They had an episode that really focused on Wolverine, which they have every once in a while. It's like 1 or 2 episodes per volume. They have that, and in this one it was Wolverine and his time when he worked with Sabretooth and 2 other characters. I can't think of their names right now, but he worked with them. He had a relationship with one woman, and then they find out that a lot of their memories were actually faked. And it was just a really cool, interesting episode. And they had to fight off against this machine, and Beast was trying to help Wolverine out because he was having these nightmares like the other people were that he used to work with. And so they were all kind of driven to this facility. But overall, it's definitely a great volume. Yet another great volume in the X-Men series because the series is just great. So if you like X Men, you should definitely pick it up. I said in all the videos you should if you like X Men. It's probably the best. It's only we've only had like three X Men cartoons, so it is the best X Men cartoon out there. It's for one lasted the longest because X Men Evolution I believe had 2 seasons or something like that. Then it was canceled. Or I think they actually were able to end it, but it only had like 2 or maybe 3 seasons. But it was really short. Unfortunately, Wolverine and the X Men was canceled way too early. It was canceled after the first season, and that was an amazing show. It had a really unique premise because we never got to see that version of the X Men animated, where they didn't really have Xavier leading them. Xavier was in the future, but Wolverine was the leader of the X Men, and for that first season storyline, like Scott was kind of just distant from the entire team because he lost Jean, and so all he was like a very different character for most of the series, and that was pretty cool. He was really angry. He wasn't the by the books type of guy. He was the one who was really distant from the team, like Wolverine would most likely be, and he just didn't give a crap. It's like I lost Jean. I'm trying to freaking find her. Of course, they have that psychic connection, so he would always get these crazy visions and stuff, and something would happen, and he would think he found Jean or something like that. So it was a great series that unfortunately got cut way too short, especially with the way it ended, where they go into the apocalypse storyline, which we'll be getting in the next X-Men movie. But it was like the whole season is basically the Days of Future Past storyline, and it was such a good show. But unfortunately, both of those got cut short, and so this is really all we got if you want to get like as much as you can out of X-Men. And they even have characters in there where they don't talk about who they are, but if you're really into comics, you'll know who they are. Like they have Deadpool. I think within the first 4 episodes, they show both Deadpool and Omega Red, and if you don't know who they are, it would just fly over you like, who the heck is Wolverine seeing in these images? But if you know who they are, it's just a really cool homage to those characters, even if they aren't actually going to be put into the show. So definitely pick up Volume 3. Pick up all the volumes. It's 5 of them, I believe. You can find them all on Amazon, of course. But definitely check it out. Dark Phoenix, the 2 time travel based episodes. This is probably my favorite one so far. I have to get through Volume 4, but I don't know. That might kind of beat it out because it's a 5-part thing, or 4 parts, I believe. And all of that is just a bunch of time travel stuff. So I might end up liking that more than this. But for now, I think Volume 3 is definitely my favorite one. Definitely check it out. If you know anyone who likes X-Men and they haven't been able to get this series for some reason, tell them it's on Amazon. Tell them to go check it out because it's definitely worth buying. If you do own it and you do remember these episodes, or you don't own it but you still remember them, of course, comment below. Let me know what you guys thought about the episodes, what you think about the show in general, and thanks for watching.